And what comes difficult for me is sharing that kind of kindness to a world that is quick to be mean and um evil. It's difficult to raise a child in a world where not everyone is kind. So the difficult part for me is trying to raise her to see that, you know what, not everybody is kind. Is it deserved love, or just, because I think we carry a lot of identity when
Mm.
we place our value in certain titles, right? So you place your value in being a wife, or you place your value in being a mom, and when those titles are stripped away, you're left almost like naked to the world, like, okay, so who am I now?
I know life has been unkind, and I don't want to dwell
Mm-hmm.
in it, but I want to dwell in the journey
Mm-hmm.
of it. How do you remain kind
Mm-hmm.
in such an unkind world?
Why I became this, like, wanting to speak life to other people. And one of my dreams is actually just to be a motivational speaker and allow other women to, like, see the light in themselves. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know for sure, like, that is something that God has put deep in my heart, and He'll facilitate that however and whenever He pleases.
And this is foundational for this podcast. When I was setting up this podcast,
Hmm.
the main reason for it was threads of grace. I looked at
Yeah.
threads of grace, and that's where healing is. When that woman touched the
Yeah.
hem of the garment, um, I look at Esther standing up to speak, so that her next generation is saved.
Yeah.
And for that,
Yeah.
we extending grace over and above, not just ourselves, but to others. But how does that look like for you?
Welcome to Threads of Grace, a soul nourishing podcast. This podcast is a movement, it is a sanctuary, a circle of voices, silence, softness, and strength. This sacred space is for the people becoming, the ones rebuilding, and the ones who have not given up on themselves. Created with love and intention just for you.
Welcome to Threads of Grace. This is episode number 5, titled Grace for the Girl We Were, the Girl We Are, and the Women We Are Becoming. So, this episode, I would like us to look at it like a love letter. And it's a love letter to the younger versions of ourselves who tried, we stumbled, we kept on going. And it's about healing the past that we didn't know better, forgiving the choices we made in survival, and embracing who we are still becoming. Through the warmth of friendship, we reflect on our personal journeys, the lessons, losses, laughter, and moments of grace that have shaped the woman we are today. I am deeply honored this evening or today to be joined by a dear friend. To be joined by a dear friend, and this is my childhood friend, Paul Nasirembe. She also goes by the name Pai or Sweet Pai, you will tell us. Welcome, dear.
Yeah.
And if I'll just give you an
Thank
opportunity, if
you.
you could please introduce yourself to our listeners, and we can pick it up from there.
Okay. Hi, Becky. Wow. Uh, we haven't spoken in a while. So when you said your childhood friend, it took me back to years ago. But I feel blessed and honored to even have that title, childhood friend, because not so many people stay connected to, you know, friends from the past. So thank you for being that for me. Um, just to introduce myself, my name is Pearl Nasirembe. My homies, like, if you're really my friend, you'll call me Pai. So
The name stuck.
I try and Huh?
The name Fai stuck.
It did. It did. Yeah. When I'm introducing myself, I try not to use the labels that we have. I'm a mother, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter, and all those things because who I am, like intrinsically, I'm more than that. I am a compassionate human being. I am very intuitive. I am um, very in touch with my emotions. If you know me for real, you know that I'm a feeler, like a deep feeler. And so, which leads me to like connect with people and um, have deep, deep friendships. So, to cap it all off, I would say I am a lover of life and people, and that has enabled me to be the person that I am now, which is I am a single mom of one. I have a daughter, her name is Amara, and she's 11. And I'm also a friend. I am a daughter. I have three siblings, and I think I'm in the middle. I think, yeah, I'm like the middle girl. And yeah, I think that caps it off.
And I just appreciate the fact that you went beyond the label, and
Hmm.
and that's so beautiful. And I think that's what we sometimes miss, and we introduce ourselves on the basis of labels, and we are judged on the basis of labels of what we can give and what we cannot. But I'm so appreciative that
Yeah,
you went on the deeper layer, which is so beautiful.
yeah,
And something in
yeah,
common, we are both middle kids. I don't know
yeah.
if that's one of the reasons we really stayed in touch and we good friends. God knows.
Yeah.
They say middle kids are angry kids, but we definitely those not one of those.
I
We're
don't think
happy,
I'm an
so we're
angry
changing the
kid. No.
narrative, right?
Yeah.
Me
Yeah.
neither. And Paul,
Yeah.
some friendships are written long before we even understand their purpose. I try reflect
Hmm.
how we met, and our story is just one of those. We met back, I think it was in year 2000. Um,
Hmm.
we were young girls from very different worlds, yet somehow standing in the same dusty soil of rural Western Kenya in a town of
Hmm.
Mumias.
Yeah.
For me, I had just found myself in a boarding school for, surrounded in a very remote place, surrounded with endless fields of sugarcane, far away from anything familiar.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to
Yeah.
take you back. And
Yeah. I
you, on the other
remember.
hand, you are in a much better school. My school was St. Mary's, Mumias Girls, a girls only Catholic
Yeah.
school. And you are in
Yeah.
Buka Academy. In my world, then, it
Yeah.
was a proper, decent school with with things that we could only dream of, you know. And
Yeah.
yet, our paths
Yeah.
crossed. And it did cross, and if I may remind you, if you allow me, was it music
Hmm.
and drama festival when
It
we
was.
where we both stood nervously waiting to recite our poems. I think we were contestants, and that moment
Yeah.
really shaped our life. And as
Yeah.
I'm busy reminding you of this, I went to my files and I found something. I don't know if you can see the camera. Can you see this book?
I can. Yeah.
It's a flamingo book. It's an exercise book, and
No way. That's
I
from
used
like
to,
way back when.
yes, I used to write all the poems that we used to recite.
Wow. And you've kept it
and
all
and
this
the
time?
subject here, yes, can you see how flimsy it looks? Still in its original state with all these
Yeah.
writings,
Yeah.
you know. And it's, of course, at
Yeah.
that time I used to call myself Brittany Whitney. P. Lopez. That's the name.
I remember
And
Lopez.
the subject and the school is, you remember my school was St. Mary's. I wrote here Maria
St.
Carey
Mary's, yeah.
School. And then the subject I wrote here future. so
That is
so
so
just to
funny.
take you back, I want you to tell me if you can remember these lines. Yes.
Mhm.
A man with a hat on. I say no. How should I know he is bald? Bowed, bowed, nothing but bowed. Yes, indeed, nothing but bowed. Do you remember that poem?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
We
That is like
contested for this
years ago.
poem.
My
I
goodness.
know. I have the entire poem
Wow.
written down. That was the poem that we recited in one of
Wow.
the music festivals. And I
Yeah.
read it,
I can see
and
us standing. I can see us standing outside the classroom waiting to go our turn and being nervous. Like
mhm.
I have that in my head now.
Mm.
Wow. That's
Yeah, so
amazing.
I mean, I just thought I should pull those files out because that was the foundation
Hmm.
of our friendship. You know, that moment began, it's the moment that began our friendship, and it has stretched through the decades, despite the distance, the many versions
Yeah.
of who we've become, and this episode is
Yeah.
particularly personal for me because we have witnessed each other grow over the years
Hmm.
from those days of years to you going over to as a varsity life in Nairobi to transitioning,
Hmm.
your
Hmm.
life overseas and so forth. So this episode for me,
Yeah.
it's really a reflection of that, and there was no other person better to really relate this evolution
No.
than yourself. I just wanted to ask you, and maybe this is where we're going to kickstart our
Hmm.
discussion, is have you gone back to
Hmm.
Mumias?
I haven't been since we left, actually. Because the only reason we were there was because my parents were working for the company, the sugar company. And then my dad retired, moved to Nairobi. My mom stayed on because she was teaching at the high school where I was. And then eventually retired and also now moved to Nairobi. So we haven't had reason to go back there. I think when I
Yeah, and the reason
left, that
why,
was when did I go to uni? I think that was 2002.
yeah, two, three
Yeah, it
there.
was 2002. Mm, yeah, yeah. So we haven't gone back since.
Okay, and the reason why I ask, it's important because such places really shape um, our lives. When I tell people about my stories about Mumiers, the
Hmm.
corporal punishment, going to get water from the river, they think I'm cooking up these stories, but these stories really shaped up the boarding life and how strict it was, and of course it was different for you. The reason why I'm asking this is
Yeah.
when you think of the girl you were, just 10 to or 25
Hmm.
years ago, who was she? What kind
Hmm.
of dreams did she carry? The insecurities? What did you believe?
Hmm.
If you could sit with her today, what would you say? If you can just reflect on that girl.
If I can reflect, I think she was just floating through life, if I can put it that way. I lived a very sheltered life. Um, I found, and I'm grateful for the lifestyle and the childhood that our parents gifted us. Um, so a lot was provided for us. I don't necessarily feel like we endured much hardship, and it's because of that you grow up sheltered. But the thing about that is you kind of have it in your mind that your entire life is now just going to be this sheltered princessy life, which is not true because you grow up, you move away from your comfort zones, and now you realize, oh wow, it's a different life out here. And so you start navigating, being independent, like learning who you are outside of your comfort parameters that you had set for yourself. Um, so if I'm reflecting on that, I think I started finding out who I actually was when joined uni. Because
Mm,
then I was away from my parents, I was away from their covering. And now I'm in this wild, wild west type of world where you're trying to see who you are as a young adult, finding out what you like doing, what are your hobbies, finding new friendships, navigating that, um, discovering discovering what you like or what it is that you want out of life.
mhm.
So I honestly started growing after high school, which is crazy to say, but I think that's my truth. I started growing after.
I can relate because that's the same for
Hmm.
me. I was sheltered under boarding school, and with there, it's about school, and you're there to study,
Hmm.
there to focus on your studies and nothing else. And
Yeah.
besides whatever boarding school was teaching me, it was also very shielded and secure, and I
Mm,
didn't have to worry about the world. And then
mm,
also later on in life, university, when you're given that freedom to stay out of home, then you are like, okay, what's happening here? I need to eat, I need to
yeah.
buy this and that. and
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
just want you to reflect on that period when of awakening, if I may call it.
Hmm.
What were your dreams? What did you aspire? Opening up into the world. Daddy is still. I know you're daddy's girl. I know your relationship with your dad
Yeah.
is very tight. Your dad is still there, but
Yeah.
he's given you this leash of freedom to find yourself. What were your dreams like?
Hmm.
What were you carrying in your heart? How did you see your future looking like?
This was now still like from back then, reflections from way
Mm,
back. Um, Honestly, to be honest with you, from where I stand now, looking back, I don't think I had much of like an actual dream. I think the best way I can put it was just trying to navigate life with where I was, right? And I say this all the time, like whenever I go for like say job interviews or if I'm having a conversation with a friend, when somebody asks you, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
mm,
I've never been able to answer that question because I didn't know how to have that foresight to extend like 5 years. Like, where do I see myself in 5 years? And I always thought that was such a bad thing. Like, how unfocused can you be? But then the more I've gotten to understand myself, I realize how moment to moment I live, which is actually very secure for me because I don't have the capacity to see, and this is where faith comes in. I
mm,
don't have the capacity to see what's coming in 5 minutes, right? I don't have the capacity to know what it is that I want in a year. So I can't answer like, oh my God, where do you see yourself? No. Um, I think I started finding myself and understanding like dreams and visions for myself when I started learning more about God and learning what that meant, like learning who I am rooted in faith.
mm,
And that has come later in life.
mm.
Like as an adult, I'd say like later me in my 20s, in my 30s, and deeply rooted now that I'm a woman of a certain age. um
A beautiful
so
age.
yeah, I have beautiful age. Yeah. So I don't know. I know the right answer would be, oh, I used to dream of doing this and doing that, but I don't have that perfect vision. I would say honestly, I was just going through life. I was just
Mm,
I was choosing vibes all the time. Just seeing just seeing where life was taking me. And I think that contributed to a lot of the things that I experienced as an adult.
mm,
And it forced me to really like take steps back, take account of your experiences in life, what it is that you've been through, and then now truly learn who you are now.
mm.
So
And
I don't know if
and
that answers your
Paul,
question. I just feel like
Paul, that's no, no, no. That is perfect. And I want to touch on that because there's this pressure that we have
mhm,
about who are you going to be in future, or, especially as a young person. And I have experienced it with my
mhm,
daughter whose career day is coming up, and she has no clue whatsoever what she aspires to be.
mhm,
And and you're
mhm.
just reaffirming me that it's okay for her not to know or have a clue. So we can play
I was
doctor,
just
we
about
can
to say
play
that.
nurse,
Yeah,
we can play
I was
whatever.
honestly about
But
to say
I
that.
am
Mhm,
Yeah, but I'm trying to make her comfortable to know that it's okay not to be sure, because you're still
yeah,
young, you're growing, you evolve, and eventually you will figure out. But just live in the
yeah.
moment. But it also speak a lot about the family setup. I feel like people have pressure to to plan for these careers or whoever they're gonna be, perhaps on the basis of what their point of reference is. You come from a very
Mhm,
solid
mhm,
home, a father and a mother who have are very confident in their careers and
mhm,
whoever they are. And I see why you are so comfortable not to worry too much about whoever you will be, because they've spoken life to you. They're giving you the right
mhm.
steps, putting the stepping stones for you ahead. And if you
Yeah,
just follow the steps, you should be fine. So
you
don't
should
don't
be. Yeah.
don't feel like there is a perfect or answer to that. I'm really appreciative of your point of view or perspective from where you're coming from.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
if we fast forward to the person you are today, and
mhm.
some of these things, I mean, I know life has happened, a lot has happened.
Yeah,
You've
yeah,
left your motherland country, you are in the
yeah,
world. You are
yeah,
doing
yeah.
proper adulting. I just wanted to check with you. How do you currently show yourself grace when life feels heavy or imperfect? And if you look at who you've become today, I'm sure there are some areas, and maybe not, where you have criticized yourself. And how have you, how have you become, and how have you become your own strength? Where have you given yourself grace as you maneuver through
Yeah.
life?
I actually love that question because I feel now, like where I stand now, hold on, I need to clear my nose. I feel like where I stand now, I'm actually in love with my life and myself. And it's taken so long to get to this point, right? There's so many things that we go through in life, so many like experiences, ups and downs. And all those things tend to define who we are. So if we let the negatives that happen take control, then we lose sight of what life is trying to teach us or what God is trying to teach us. But I feel like everything that I have experienced, everything that I have endured has given a voice to the kind of person that I am today. And today I'd say I'm more confident, I'm more self-assured, you know. Before, like growing up, because of the sheltered life that I lived, I feel like my personality was very, very meek, very quiet, very, I don't want to disturb the peace. And so my personality was more like people pleasing, like trying to make the parents proud, or um you know kind of make concessions when it came to friendships or even in relationships. Like if you find yourself being treated poorly, you make excuses for other people just so you maintain the peace. And I realized as I went through life how I was denying myself my own, how do I call it? It's like you're betraying your own core values,
Mm,
like what is it
mm,
that you believe about life? What is it that you believe about love? Forget other people, forget the parents,
mm,
forget the friends. You as Becky or me as Pearl, like what is it that I hold true here? And it's taken a lot of, I'd say it's taken a lot of pain to discover the truth about that. It's taken a lot of self-reflection. It's taken a lot of acceptance of just who I am, because I'm very sensitive. So the core things
mm,
about me, like being a deep feeler, being emotional, being all these things, those things haven't changed, right? But I used to hate that part of myself, like how sensitive I was. I would cry. I still cry about silly stuff. I cry when I'm sad, I cry when I'm happy.
mm,
um, but I feel things deeply, and I used to hate that part of myself because I associated that with weakness, right? But then
mm,
the life experiences and the way I've grown, now I see that as a strength, because not everybody has compassion, not everyone is
mm,
kind, not everyone is has the ability to empathize with another person. I'm more sensitive to other people's struggles, and I realized that became like this gifting that God gave me to be able to encourage other people. I feel like it's disconnecting. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. There's a time delay, but
Hmm.
it will catch on. It's now in loop. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I feel like it's a gift God gave me, and I've gotten to appreciate that more as an adult. Um, Now, as me now, I'm more accepting of myself. I don't see I was listening to a podcast the other day, and this
Mhm.
lady was talking about the kinds of thoughts that we have with ourselves on a daily basis. She said that the human brain has a conversation with itself 70,000 times a day. And
Wow.
so it made
No
me
wonder we're
think,
so
it made me
tired.
think of, right. It made me think
Mm,
of how as human beings we're very relational, right? Like relationship with your parents, with your children, with your husband, but we forget to have relationship with ourselves, right? And so if I'm thinking these 70,000 thoughts a day, what are those thoughts saying? Like, am I
mm,
encouraging myself? Am I speaking to myself kindly? Am I affirming myself, or am I constantly beating myself down for the things that society has told me, like I haven't, now you're like a single mom, or you'll never find love again, or like the negative conversations that we have with ourselves.
mm,
And I realize now that I'm older, I actually enjoy um having those kinds of conversations with myself, because it highlights where I need to work, the parts of me that I need to work on.
mm. I just want to touch on that because I think you have been deliberate in getting yourself out of that cocoon into the person you are, because the reason why also our friendship has really sustained is because you put yourself out there, and
Hmm.
you have been able to motivate many of us. I really enjoy your motivation that you put out on social media, just your journey of and
Thanks.
about your journey and grounding in Christ, self-care,
Hmm.
um, you know, really digging deep into the layers of who you are as a woman, as a person. I just want you
Mm-hmm.
to talk to a listener that is transitioning into finding themselves and the importance
Mm-hmm.
of being deliberate with that. Is there anything specific or where you had to do or where you had to draw the line and say, you know what, enough of this, and you found your way around? Or what would you tell to somebody who's navigating that?
I would say, for me personally, like when I was going through my own hardship and I was finding myself like in deep, deep, deep depression, I remember thinking like when you're low, there's not much lower you can go, right?
Mm,
Like if you're down, you're down. And so because there's not much lower I can go, I remember having this conversation with God because I talk to God like the way I'm talking to you now. So I'm just like God, you say that I'm your child and you say that you are
mm,
working things out for my good. So surely I know I'm down now. So surely this can't be it. This is not it. Because one, I'm not dead, right? And so because I'm still alive and I'm still waking up every morning, surely you must have more for me. So for me, it started with working on my belief system and my mindset. Like I had to take myself out of the negativity where, oh my God, because I remember there's a time I was struggling in finding work. And every day I would wallow in self-pity of, "Ah, I can't find work. Am I ever going to find work?" And then also comparing myself and my journey to my peers. Because now I would see my peers with like the jobs I would desire and watching them travel the world and, just acquiring things that I wanted to have and realizing that that comparison was actually stealing my joy.
mm,
And so I had to work on my mindset where like just have tunnel vision, stop looking on the outside, stop looking at other people's lives and using that as a litmus test of where you are. So stop comparing yourself, change your mindset and start speaking more positively about your own life. I know it sounds so cliche, but it's true.
mm,
When you're speaking negativity, our minds have this confirmation bias. So if I'm speaking negative about something, my environment will show how negative I am. My room will look a mess.
mm,
My relationships will be having drama. I won't take care of myself. I won't shower. I won't make an effort to show up. But if I'm speaking positively about myself and I'm waking up every day and I'm like, you know what, I am going to have a good day. How do I start by having a good day? Wake up, and it's with simple stuff. It's not even big things. Wake up, make your bed, take a shower. If you're a
mhm,
makeup girly, do your face. And even if you're not, you can put Vaseline on your lips and moisturize your face. you know you can comb your hair. It's with little stuff. And then find a routine that you can sustain by doing every day, right? For me personally, like I look forward to having my coffee in the morning, right? So I wake up and I'm excited to fix my cup of coffee. It's a little things like that. Um, the thing that helped me come out of that depression and say I'm going to have a good life is one, my belief in God, like I said, but also being sick and tired of being sick and tired.
mm,
Like you honestly just have to be mad at life for giving you this, and you're like, you know what, life, I'm going to fight back. I deserve better. I'm going to
mm,
get better, and I will do everything in my power to get better. But it all starts with the mind. You have to shift. You have to change your mindset.
mm. Absolutely. And I can relate to this because I've also been in that dark hole. And even Bene
Hmm.
Brown's has a beautiful illustration of this. But what stands out from what you're saying and also what I've experienced is besides the grounding in Christ, besides
Hmm.
possibilities of external support, it has to start with you. You literally, when
Hmm.
you want to sit on a higher wall and you need to like lift yourself up so you can, you
Hmm.
literally have to
Yeah.
pull yourself in that manner. so that you can sit on the wall.
Yeah.
And that's what you're reflecting as wake up, take a shower,
Yeah.
put on your lipstick, or dress well and walk in confidence.
Yeah.
And I too have experienced that, and it's worked, and I think that is a really beautiful gem to continue emphasizing, that it comes from within. It comes from
It does. Yeah.
it takes a lot. It takes a lot. It might cost you days, but when you
Mm-hmm.
get there, that would be your best thing that you
Yeah.
can ever do to yourself. And as we journey along,
Yeah.
having experienced
Mm.
life, and both positive and negative, how can we mother the younger us with the wisdom we carry now? You're a mother to the most beautiful girl, Amara, which I'm yet to meet in person
Mm-hmm.
one of these days.
Yeah.
So when you look at her, what do you tell her?
I tell her that she's honestly perfect the way God made her. She is perfectly imperfect. Let me say that, because we're not like perfect human beings, but also God did not make any mistakes when he made us. And therefore, however it is that I show up, it is okay. I would tell her not to carry the weight of the world or shame, because I struggled a lot with shame because of the things that I experienced. I think I can openly talk about it now. I was married before, and when that didn't work out, I carried the burden and the shame of having a failed marriage. Um, and I I didn't think that I was worthy, or like I deserved, um is it deserved love, or just, because I think we carry a lot of identity when
Mm,
we place our value in certain titles, right? So you place your value in being a wife, or you place your value in being a mom, and when those titles are stripped away, you're left almost like naked to the world, like, okay, so who am I now? And because I did not know who I was, I carried a lot of shame with that. And then also pegging my value a lot on what other people would say, right? So, oh my God, what are people saying, or what is society saying? And when you do that, you're living for other people and you stop living for yourself. And so that's a very hard thing to navigate. It's a very hard season to go through. But looking back now that I'm on the other side, I can tell her there is enough grace for
mm,
that girl literally every single day. There's enough trouble today. Like, I don't have to worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow there'll
mm,
be grace still.
mm,
You know what I mean?
mm,
So there's enough grace for that girl. I can tell her that there's always love at home.
mm,
Like, never feel like you're so far gone that you cannot go back home. Like, even to this day, like, some of the conversations that I have with my child, I'm always telling her, I don't care what it is that you do or how hard you fail in life, or whatever insecurities that you go through, who you are is who you are.
mm,
And thankfully, God has entrusted you to me. So
mm,
just know that there is always love at home. You can always find love at home. And home doesn't necessarily have to be parents or
mm,
siblings. Home can be in friendships, you can find one person that you trust and that you connect with, and that person can be home, a place where you feel safe and valued and seen. Because at the end of the day, as human beings, that's all we want. We want to feel considered, we want to feel loved, we want to feel seen. So I can tell that girl that there is always love at home. And I've found home in friendships. I've found
mm,
home in different seasons that I've been in, where I wasn't able to like understand myself or carry myself, but the friendships that I've had have able to like lift me up. And that's home for me.
mm,
Um, I can tell that girl that we are always going to be reinventing ourselves, that who you are today is not who you'll be 5 years from today. What you like today is not what you like 5 years from today, and it's okay. It's okay to be unsure. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to not have any answers. I think in life, we're constantly rushing to fix things. We're
Mm,
constantly rushing to know stuff, and it's okay when you don't know, because,
mm.
you know, if I don't know, I don't know. So, and it's okay. Um, yeah, and those are the things that come to
Mm.
mind now. Yeah.
And I'm so proud of you and Paul. Um, Through whatever you have journeyed in life, and how, if
Mm-hmm.
I look at today, I look at you and Amara, and 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 I'm just proud. And one question I have for you is, I know life has been unkind, and I don't want to dwell
Mm-hmm.
in it, but I want to dwell in the journey
Mm-hmm.
of it. How do you remain kind
Mm-hmm.
in such an unkind world?
That's actually a very good question, and the truth of it is I don't know. The truth of it is I have learned to really lean in to who I am at the core, right? Because I was having this conversation with a friend of mine. She's very outspoken, very extroverted, whereas I'm very introverted, very soft still. Like, I don't like to be in like extra loud spaces because it's too much, you know? Um, I was telling her of like I was struggling with something at work, and I was feeling like we have many mean girls at work, and I just can't understand the mind of a mean girl, because it takes a lot of effort to be mean to
Mm,
somebody else. Like,
mm,
you're actually cooking up ways where you can make another person's life miserable, and I can't, for the life of me, I can't relate with that kind of mindset. And I thank God for that, because now I see that. I used to see that as weakness, but I see that now as strength. Being kind and compassionate is my factory settings. That's how God made
mm,
me. And I've leaned into that now. And so it's easy. It comes naturally to me. It's like breathing, you know? You can't ask somebody how do you breathe daily. It's just how you are. How do you walk like this? It's just how you are. For me, I'm grateful that God made that a factory setting. And what comes difficult for me is sharing that kind of kindness to a world that is quick to be mean and um evil. It's
mm,
difficult to raise a child in a world where not everyone is kind. So the difficult part for me is trying to raise her to see that, you know what, not everybody is kind, and don't get in your feelings because someone is not as kind as you are. That's the challenging part for me. Otherwise, being kind and compassionate to others, I don't find it hard.
mm. Absolutely, because it's just part of life. It's the nature of life, and in this big
Mm-hmm.
ecosystem we live at, there is good and evil
Mm-hmm.
people, and
Yeah.
that's why we have to extend grace not only to ourselves
Grace. Yeah.
to others. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you have had to go through forgiveness, acceptance,
Mm-hmm.
understanding. And what does extending grace to you or your past self look like
Mm-hmm.
in real life? How is this? And this is foundational for this podcast. When I was setting up this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
the main reason for it was threads of grace. I looked at
Yeah.
threads of grace, and that's where healing is. When that woman touched the
Yeah.
hem of the garment, a look at Esther standing up to speak, so that her next generation is saved.
Yeah.
And for that,
Yeah.
we extending grace over and above, not just ourselves, but to others. But how does that look like for you?
For me, I think grace allows me to honor my story without letting it define me. So,
Mm,
yes, I went through certain difficult seasons in my life. Yes, um, there I've struggled with like finding myself and rediscovering who I am and all these things. But just because I went through that, it doesn't mean that I am that. So I'm not defining myself because of things that I've failed in or encountered in the past. Um, and that's biblical too, because when you look at God, he's a very restorative kind of God. He seeks to be in relationship with us, and where he meets me is not where he'll leave me. Like we're constantly going like from one glory to another. Even
mhm,
when we look at our lives, like who we were like 5 years ago, the things that we experienced, and you compare to where you are today, surely there's growth. There's much light and, good things that have come out in that season. So I don't let difficult seasons define me. Um, when it comes to forgiveness and my past, I first forgive myself for, not knowing what it is that I know now, right? So I was working with what I knew then, with whatever information that I knew then, that was all that I had to work with. And because certain things didn't work out or I went through whatever difficult season, it's okay to honor that, and I forgive myself for not knowing what I know now.
mhm,
And then also I don't um villainize other people, because I feel like everyone is going through life, everyone is experiencing life the best way they know how. And that's a very mature thing to say, because it's easy to point the finger, like, you did this, you didn't do this for me, whatever, whatever. But when you take a step back and you actually look at life from this big picture, you realize like everyone is struggling with something, you know?
mm,
Everyone is
mm,
experiencing life the best way they know how, and it's easy to extend like compassion and kindness in that regard. So before I forgive another person, I first have to forgive myself for the way I treated myself. Was I speaking to myself kindly? Did I know not to put myself in certain situations? Did I know not to encourage certain behaviors from others or from myself? You know? And once I've discovered that forgiveness for myself, now I can extend forgiveness to another person. Like,
mm,
okay, you treated me poorly, but there's grace for you too. Just because God can forgive me, and he can forgive you too.
mm,
So
mm,
it's easy for me to extend grace in that regard. But also the thing that I learned when I was going through my own hard season was how silence can be golden. We
mhm,
live in a world where we constantly want people to hear our version of the story, my side of the story. Like, I had to be perfectly okay with not having my side of the story out there. And that's a hard thing to do, where
mhm,
you're just quiet and you let people just run their mouth. You can say whatever it is that you want to say. I care deeply about how I am seen and how you perceive me, but I had to really learn, like, whether you do good or bad, someone is still going to find something to criticize,
mm,
right? And I cannot live in a world where I'm constantly trying to prove a point. Like, see my side. They did this, they said this. Like, I had to come to a point where it was just me and God, right? And being okay with whatever version of the story is out there, and choosing silence, because at the end of the day, fruit always speaks for itself, right? At the end of the day, it might take 1 year, 2 months, whatever. At the end of the day, who I am will speak for itself. I don't have
mm,
to broadcast, you know, who I am. So learning that silence is golden and just allowing for God to vindicate you in whenever he sees fit. So
And
that is
that's
how I
discipline.
navigated those hard seasons. Hmm.
And it takes discipline to do that because, as you say, we want to be right. We want, to have the last word, which is favorable to us.
Hmm.
And that's really admirable
Hmm.
that you live with that, because God truly knows
Hmm.
the true version or the
Yeah.
true story is ultimately. We can have variations and all
Yeah.
that, but God knows your heart even better. Knowing
Yeah.
what you know now,
Yeah.
I'm excited about the
Hmm.
future. You and I have just had milestone birthdays, and I want to
Yeah.
believe the future is bright. The future is, I'm
Yeah.
excited, and I know you are excited. How do you
Yeah.
see well in the coming?
The future girl, you mean?
Yes.
I see her constantly evolving. Like to to me, every day is like a clean slate to do something different, right? So when I wake up, I have these prompts in I journal a lot. So I have this prompts in my journal where I'm challenging myself to do something, one that is out of my comfort zone, or two that feels new, or like find things that excite me in my week, in my month, or whatever. And I realize how the human mind honestly just seeks, it's kind of like exercise. Like you and I, we are into fitness a lot, right? So once you start being like a person that's interested in fitness, your mind is hungry to go for a
Mm,
run.
mm,
Like your mind is hungry to lift some weights. You don't have to force it. Like the feeling is there.
mm.
And so if you're consistently hungry for like learning something new, and it can be with little stuff, like learn a new language, or learn a new hobby, or figure out what excites you. I feel like I'm in a constant state of self-discovery, like finding out things about myself. I recently started a Stairmaster challenge where I go on the Stairmaster and I challenge myself, like, how many floors can I do today?
Oh, that.
And I realize how I realize how competitive I am even with myself, right? Because if I did 70 floors yesterday, I tell myself, you know what, today I'll do 80. And if I do 80 today, I tell myself tomorrow I'll do 100. So I'm constantly trying to challenge myself to kind of see how I can push myself to get better at something. Um, I see myself. I actually want to do more of this. Now that I'm having this conversation with you, it reminds me of why I started the my podcast, and why I became this, like, wanting to speak life to other people. And one of my dreams is actually just to be a motivational speaker and allow other women to like see the light in themselves. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know for sure, like, that is something that God has put deep in my heart, and He'll facilitate that however and whenever He pleases. So I see that for myself. I see me a retired motivational speaker.
And you're already doing it. You're already doing the building blocks. Don't stop for doing those
Hmm.
few seconds, 1 minute videos that uplift.
Yeah,
I always say
yeah,
when I go to social media, I have specific people that I need to see. I don't just, you know, and you're one of those that I
yeah.
would like to see a post from
No.
you. Yeah,
Okay.
because
I'll get back to it. I'll get back to
because the beautiful
it.
thing about social media, you can also reinfence who you want in your circle. And for
Who
me,
you are. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, it's only a
Yeah.
few people as well, because I'm not courageous enough to
Yeah.
even have my account private yet. Not private, public, I
Yeah.
mean, you know, but
Public. Yeah.
but you are doing already those building space. and steps towards
Mm.
this dream that you have. And I also trust that the Lord will make it happen for you. So what I'm hearing is
Yeah,
grace
thank you,
is
girl.
not denial. It's the courage to look
No.
at where we have been without flinching, to meet our past selves with
Mm-hmm.
compassion rather than judgment. Paul, I think that's something we've both had to learn, that healing also isn't
Yeah,
pretending that pain never happened. It's learning to hold it gentle,
right.
and perhaps to our listeners, maybe that's the invitation today, to sit with your younger self, not to fix her, but to thank her for surviving long enough for you to become who you are today. As we are coming to an end,
Mm-hmm.
Pal, what what would
Mm-hmm.
you put out there for somebody who is can relate to you, for somebody who's looking at you, goes to your
Mm-hmm.
page and sees your life and like, this sounds like me. What is it that you would like to put out there for somebody
Mm-hmm.
who is seeking inspiration or aspiring for that matter?
I would tell that person that they don't have to perform in life. You don't have to perform for love, for acceptance, for validation, you know? You don't have to earn anything out of life because grace is already settled for us. Like God has already given us that and called us worthy. Um, so they don't have to break their back to achieve it. I would tell that girl or whoever it is that's watching to get to know themselves at the core. You know, find out who you are, strip away all the titles that you have in life and really find out who you are. Do not define yourself. When we started this conversation, you asked me who, like, to introduce myself. And initially I would say I'm a mom, I'm a child of this, that, and all those things. But those are titles. If all those titles were taken away from me, who am
Mm,
I? So get to know yourself from within. What do you want out of life? Who are you when you're showing up in life, and somebody is asked to define you, what would they say? Would they call you somebody that's curious
mm,
about life? Would they say you are adventurous? Would they say you are this loving ball of energy? Get to know who you are. And to getting to know who you are, you start with basic things. Do I
mm,
enjoy cooking? Little stuff. Do I enjoy taking walks? Do I enjoy just sitting in solitude in a park somewhere and just watching birds and trees? Find little things that define you and bring you peace and bring you joy. And those are the building blocks that will help you grow into whatever else it is that you want to do.
mm. Absolutely. And as we close today's conversation, I'm reminded that becoming, or the journey of becoming, is not a destination,
Mm-hmm.
but rather a daily
Mm.
unfolding. The person we laid the
Yeah,
foundation, the woman we are, is still learning, and
yeah,
also, with waiting. The person who we are going to become is already waiting with open arms,
yeah,
and a
yeah.
softer heart. And my prayer is that may we keep choosing grace over guilt,
Mm-hmm.
compassion over criticism, courage over comparison.
Yeah,
You've touched on that. And
yeah.
for our listeners particularly, I would say, as you go by in your day, I hope that they find time to pause, to honor that younger version of us that we were, not for what she
Yeah.
got wrong, but for how bravely she kept going. And you, Paul, are a perfect example for that. Moved into a foreign country all alone, not sure left or
Mm.
right. In fact, you had to learn a new
Mm-hmm.
language. I know you had a little French
Yeah,
coming from your mother's side, but I'm
yeah.
sure you are fluent by now, you know. But all I
Yeah.
can say, my friend, is
Yeah.
cheers and here's to becoming. I know you're a big fan of Michelle Obama too.
I am.
I've seen
Yeah.
I've seen you quote her and all that. I've picked that up. So here is to our becoming,
Yeah. Yeah.
and most importantly, with grace,
Yeah.
with love, and with hope for everything still ahead. So thank you so much for
And
taking the
being meant to
time
that. Yeah.
to have this conversation, and I
Thank you for
look forward
having me.
to
This
our
was
big reunion.
I pray for that. Thanks for having me. This was actually really therapeutic in a way, kind of like just speaking and touching base and getting to, dig deeper into ourselves and finding out what grace means for us. I
Mm.
think just in closing, I would say I would like to remind everyone that we are never short of grace. Like, grace is this sufficient thing for all things, and we can do hard things. Whatever it is that we find ourselves in life, like, you can do it. We can overcome. We can do hard things. So thank you so, so much for this space. And I'm proud of you for studying this, being bold enough to pursue something that's in your heart. Not everyone gets to do that. So kudos to you.
Thank you. And is it good morning on your end? You can see it's good evening already. It's good night on
It
my
is what time it is. It is 1:23, so it's the afternoon.
Yes. Have a fantastic evening and God bless. Love you lots. Looking forward to the day we'll see each other again.